Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome to a very familiar sight to many of you who are IndyCar fans in real life. And it's so great to have you here at Road America in the woods outside of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Lots of trees, lots of grass, lots of runoff room for these Dallara IR-18s of the US IndyCar League. It's season 14, race number 4 of 12, 40 laps around the classic 4-mile circuit in Wisconsin. Road America, gosh, there's been so many great races there. So many different winners. Pretty much anybody who has been an IndyCar or CART or Champ Car the last 25 years has raced here. And great to have the US IndyCar League coming here to turn right as they normally just turn left. I'm Trevor Greenfield. I'm going to be with you all day, calling the action as I have been since the end of season 10. And we're ready to go qualifying here and see who is going to be setting pole position and setting the fastest times around this track. And it could be anybody, to be honest with you. I was just watching, of course, practice just leading up to this qualifying. And as the cars head out on track now, I'll tell you what, it was Graham Bunyan who ended up fastest, but Dominic Hart putting in great laps in practice. David Strid up there. And the championship picture is quite wide open from second place onward. So we look forward to finding out who will be able to put in a good effort today and be able to get themselves qualified well at the front, maybe be able to hang on to that car and get some great points in the championship, as we're now coming up. This will be a third of the way through the championship for season 14. So on screen now, you have Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik, racing for Team StickQuik, and always great to see him out there. Never know where he'll be finishing, but it seems to be up the order as of late, which is fantastic, because we certainly want to be able to see Mr. StickQuik and the presenting sponsor of this series be able to get some top fives and possibly some podiums during the course of the season, and he is certainly on trajectory to do that, getting right up there into the top fives for a couple of weeks. So we'll be covering the championship picture here very shortly, getting some news here from the YouTube chat room. Great to have everybody watching us over on the YouTube chat. If you are, make sure to say hello. Iñigo Mardones letting me know that unfortunately he's not quite up to the challenge of Road America. It is quite demanding, quite fast, and although there is a lot of grass that you can go off onto or use the sand traps if you need to. Yeah, my experience here, and I've done quite a few laps here in the iRacing IndyCar, if you go off just a little bit, that wall is a lot closer than it looks. So it's yeah, there is a little bit of runoff room there, but for example, just in that exit there of the final corner, very, very easy to run wide, dip a wheel off, and if you do, it could very easily shoot you right back across the track. Just so easy to do. Here, coming into turn one, like you see, Richard now will jump on board here momentarily. Maybe we won't. Try to get to the bottom of that one, but nevertheless, yeah, so Richard Kelbaugh now on track and putting in the laps. But yeah, in turn one, quite easy to go off. And if you do, again, same situation. That outside wall is very, very close. The inside wall also, it could shoot you right back across into that inside wall. Just one tiny false move, and that'll do it for you. So we'll ride around with Richard here as he completes his second lap. Take a look at some of the sector times as he's now trying to set his first lap. We've got a couple of drivers out there on the track. Mauro Ramirez making a return into the series after being off for a week down in Texas watching the real-life IndyCars. So great to have him, as well as Joe Brickey full-time entrants in the league. And Kelbaugh now coming to complete his first final lap. And there it is, just as I mentioned. So easy to get that final corner wrong. Unfortunately, he'll have to throw away this lap and rely on what he gets out of the next lap. In the meantime, this guy's just gone fastest right here. We can get our... you know, it's funny, folks. If you're watching right now, I try to tell the people who make our software that this software does weird stuff, but I literally did a broadcast last night, had zero problems with SDK. Jump in this morning, it's freezing and crashing and doing all kinds of weird stuff. So we apologize for the technical glitches. We'll try to get it sorted out for you. In the meantime, you are watching Mauro Ramirez continue around and put in his qualifying laps. And we continue to beta test for software developers. So Mauro continuing here, and now we can flash over to David Strid. Yes, it is David Strid. Absolutely no clue why nothing will update at the moment, but we are just absolutely... There we go. Maybe it'll work now. I've got sectors. I've got all kinds of good stuff to show you. Oh, my goodness. Well, I don't think our software had its coffee yet this morning, fortunately. We're working on our second cup. That explains our pep in our step. There we go. David Strid, currently on provisional pole position, a 1:44.53. And Sector 2, Sector 3 times in the purple zone. I'm seeing Graham Bunyan also on track, looking in the purple zone. And is Bunyan done? Yes, he is done. In fact, he's parked. Strid looking to add to this pole position here. You see all those purple sectors. This man is lightning at Road America as he puts in this yet another purple sector. Will he be able to set the purple lap as he gets it a little sideways on exit there? That is definitely going to cost him on that exit speed. What will we see now? Across the track, and that last time a 0.57, so definitely that exit just barely costing him, and also Jason Lowe just behind coming to a stop, but didn't really cost Strid too much because he already had qualified essentially in pole position for today's race and not really fearing too much competition from behind. We do have 5 drivers who have not taken a time yet. Richard Kelbaugh, is he still shown on track? Yes, he is. So he is still completing this second lap. So we'll stay with him as he pulls to completion, and we'll see him move up into the field somewhere. Mike West, Rick Lovison, Fahim Rahman, and David Worrell actually returning to the series. Great to have him back. Always great to see drivers returning to the league after a little bit of an absence. And Richard Kelbaugh brings it across the line. Of course, he did suffer from a compromised exit on the previous lap, and I don't think he'll get in an official lap. He must have dipped a wheel off and gotten an incident. And of course, you know, that is part of qualifying. You got to make sure as David Strid's just kind of sitting on the track out there enjoying the view. Of course, these drivers are not on the track at the same time. They would not see each other on the track, and they cannot draft off of each other, which would be slightly unfair if you have a buddy to draft with and somebody else doesn't. But nevertheless, what we will do is, as we wait for this one to wrap up, and we've got, it says we're qualifying here. It's going on to our 9th minute of qualifying, so must be 10 minutes of qualifying. What we'll do is we'll get a chance to go ahead and bring up our championship points as they stand here and take a look at where everybody is running until this goes official. Once again, so great to have you with us here. You are watching the US IndyCar League's race number 4, season 14 here at Road America. We're just finishing up qualifying, and here is the standings after 3 races. It is, of course, Graham Bunyan by a sizable margin already. The guy could probably take a race off and not lose the lead. Nevertheless, that battle for second on back is quite substantial, and Jason Lowe just able to get around David Stridd in the standings with that finish last week, just by 2 points now. And as you can see, those bonus points paying off, as Lowe has 4 bonus points and he's just ahead by 2 points in the championship. So yes, you can see how close that is on back, and a number of drivers climbing up in the order. Will we see Howard Livingston, Ryan Bowles? Bowles not there today, but will we see one of these drivers able to fight? Possibly Dominic Hart. He's a guy to keep your eye on as this championship continues here. And of course, Mauro Ramirez, Joe Bricky returning to the series, so we'll get a chance to see much more of their racing action. So the drivers now gridding up, and we'll be able to go over the qualifying results here in just a second. And there you go. So, as you saw, it is, in fact, David Stridd on pole position. Fantastic time set, and it looked like he just kept going faster and faster. Graham Bunyan going to be starting second, unofficial teammate there. And on the second row will be Dominic Hart next to Jason Lowe, Mauro Ramirez, and Dan Ensch. Howard Livingston and Joe Bricky. Will Stearns he actually did get in a time, will be starting just in front of Rick Lovison, Fahim Rahman, Mike West, David Worrell, and Richard Kelbaugh will complete the field. 14 cars set to do action as they are now down on track, gridding up. We can now jump down track side, get set for today's race. So, as mentioned, we will be doing, of course, 40 laps around the classic 4-mile circuit. So, just some rough math. That's 160 miles in change. And so, Stridd rolls off there behind the Porsche pace car, and we get all ready to go here. If you're over in our YouTube chat, please say hello. And in the meantime, I hope you're enjoying the coverage. And we are going to be doing some awesome battling out here for 40 laps. It'll be interesting to see who starts on what tires. As we take a look here, it looks like quite a few of the drivers electing to start on their primary tires. So we've got David Stridd on primaries, Graham Bunyan also on primary tires. In fact, the first 4 drivers, Lowe and Hart, also on primaries. The only one in the top 8 that is not is Mauro Ramirez, who's starting on alternate tires. And so let's go ahead and take a moment. We'll just walk through this grid one more time for you. You can see David Stridd there will be starting next to Graham Bunyan. We've got onboards for a lot of these drivers. So, on board with David Stridd here. A couple of different views for you. It's kind of a visor cam view for you. Very popular now in Formula One. Of course, it was kind of introduced in Champ Car 20 years ago. So, it's been around for quite a while. Here you can see onboard view from Graham Bunyan's point of view. A little bit further back, Dominic Hart. Mauro Ramirez back in the car, going to be starting 4th today. Or, I'm sorry, going to be starting 5th today. Jason Lowe starting 4th, racing for Team Rescue Ranch. Howard Livingston, of course, always racing for the Care Camps organization. Dan Ensch with the ALZ.org machine. Joe Bricky out there for Black Tiger Racing, as well as Mauro Ramirez. We got Mike West out here racing, unofficial teammate with David Strid and Graham Bunyan. On board with Rick Lovison, series regular, who's made a name for himself as a top 5 finisher on ovals. Is he going to have a decent race today at the Classic Road America road course? That we will find out. Mike West here in the number 6 car, also teammates with Strid, Bunyan, and Strid, Bunyan, and Mike West, as well as, drawing a blank here, there's someone else as part of that picture who's not here today. Oh, it's Ryan Bowles. There we go. Always so much information to keep up there in your head about everybody and what they're doing. But that's why I get paid the big bucks, folks, so that I can remember all that stuff for you. Fahim Rahman not making it to the track, unfortunately, for the race. And it's unfortunate for his championship hopes. We'll have to see if we can figure out what happened to him. In the meantime, we are set here at Road America for 40 laps. It's going to be a fun one, and we should see some awesome mastery of these cars as Strid sees the pace car pull off just in front. It's 116 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. Strid doesn't care about that right now. He steps on the loud pedal and takes it under the start-finish line. Sees that green flag waving, and Bunyan behind is weaving around the track trying to protect the position, but got nothing to worry about just behind as Strid goes off. Strid is off, but he brings it back on safely, no problems. Now drifting back in the field, though, he's gone all the way back to 5th. So Strid's problem sends him from pole position back now to 5th position, and he's trying to claw that one back from Dominic Hart. He goes to the inside, and they make contact. Strid slides out a little wide there. There was a little bit more contact a little bit further back. Looked like Howard Livingston and Joe Bricky may be getting into each other there, but meantime, we look back up front, and there he is, Graham Bunyan, getting it done out in front. He did not make a mistake on that start, and that's bad news for everyone else in the field, as he's going to try to find a way to hang on to that lead, and he generally can seem to do that. Take a look out the back of that Bunyan machine, and Jason Lowe had set the fastest sector one time, now the fastest sector 4 times, but Bunyan taking the fastest sector 2 and 3 times. You can see this trade-off of these drivers now. But Lowe now up into 2nd, claiming 2 spots on that start. I am thoroughly not surprised to see Lowe, who has great real-life racing experience, including, of course, the including of SCCA and doing lots of real-life experience as well as sim racing experience. And Lowe has looked like he has been much more on track this season to compete for that 2nd place in the championship. And it's still a long ways to go till the end of this championship, so anything can happen as Lowe is keeping pace here with Graham Bunyan. Of course, I don't mean to say that he can't take this championship. He absolutely can. As you saw, Mauro Ramirez, now he's in 3rd place, up 2 spots today, just behind Jason Lowe, but already David Strid, Speed Demon, just behind, has recovered from that opening lap off. And we'll go back to that here in just one moment. Don't want to miss any of this action as Mauro looks back at David Strid, who's very quickly approaching. So we'll take a look here as David Strid did, in fact, go off track through turn 1. Here's how it looked from his perspective. cold tires right on off the track. And I'll tell you what, I did exactly the same thing in a league race myself, except I kind of, the cold tires, I was inside of my teammate, and unfortunately cold tires into turn one. I knew it was going to be a little close, so I clipped the curb, and those black tires just did not hang on when they were cold, and sent me right off into my teammate. One of my most embarrassing moments on broadcast. But it happens, you know, and that's what I mean to say, because as we watch Graham Bunyan now putting in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:45.90 on those black tires. My goodness, that's a fast lap for black tires. We'll see whether or not he can hang on to those black tires, because if you push him too hard around this track, it very easily starts to wear those back tires, especially starts to overheat them, and you might start to see some of these cars starting to slip around. But I just back to the point of David Strid here, who's now trying to reclaim third position from Mauro Ramirez. It's just so easy to throw it off or make a small mistake. And unfortunately, you know, it does cost you severely in the race, as now Strid has dropped back 4.9 seconds off of that lead that he once had. But this is also part of racing. It doesn't always go the way that you want it to go. Turn one, lap one, maybe it's your issue that you caused, maybe it's somebody else. You've got to recover from it. And a couple of races ago, that's what as we watch Strid try to reel in Mauro Ramirez on his way back to the front here. That's what I was talking about with Graham Bunyan a couple of weeks ago in the interview, was mark of a professional is that he can cover up for his own mistakes. It's really looking at your mistakes and understanding how to mitigate them, how to minimize them. So if you do go and have an off track, that you can just put your head back into the game and start clicking off laps, and in the end of the race, it may not even matter that you lost 5 seconds if you're able to be consistent at the end and get that podium position or get that win even. Because, hey, Graham Bunyan, who's still leading this race, he may make a mistake. Jason Lowe may make a mistake. These tires are very fallible around here. And so definitely worth it to not get your head down if you make a mistake, and just get right back in there, put in another 36 laps and see where you're at. So Strid managing to hang on here and track Ramirez. Here's Dominic Hart, who won at the end of season 13 at Indy and has had some really great flashes of speed, putting in a 44 in practice, a 1 minute 44 second lap in practice. Very impressive time, and able to qualify actually in third, but he did lose a couple of spots on that start. Now we do have another note here. It shows that David Worrell, who's currently shown in the 9th spot, had this off here. Oh my. It went from bad to worse there, as now he's bringing it back on the track, able to get it back going there. And now we have Dominic Hart with an issue. Let's switch over to him. So Hart off there, coming through the kink. No, I'm sorry, that was just after the kink. That was in Canada corner going off and then coming back. And Dan Ensch just barely sneaking by into that 5th position there. Let's go back to the live picture and see how these two run. There's Hart now trying to track down Dan Ensch. So these two now battling for that 5th spot. We'll look a little bit further back. This is Howard Livingston racing for the Coic Air Camps. So you can see there, Air Camps, a big part, of course, of not only Howard's life, but so many kids' life and their families. And we talk about it each season for the Indy race now. It's become a perennial thing, and just really love the fact that it has been, because it allows us to really talk about such a great organization that Howard is always so happy to support, and so many of us are. So definitely check out Care Camps for more info. But in the meantime, Howard living the high life. Saw it down in Florida last night. He tried to get his Johnson outboard powered margarita mixer working for one of the gigs that he was playing with his band, but unfortunately it wasn't quite working right. Maybe that old Johnson needs some wow, I've got to watch what I'm saying when I'm talking about that, but maybe that old outboard needs some maintenance, and they're gonna try to get it working back right. In the meantime, he's able to get out there on Sunday mornings and turn right and left today. Currently running in 7th, and that is where he started. So looking a little bit further back, Joe Bricky, of course, was hanging out with Mauro Ramirez the other day out at Texas Motor Speedway, getting to see what we all hope, I'm sure, was not the very final race there at Texas Motor Speedway. And now we have a note here that says we have Rick Lovison. This is Canada corner. He's gone off there. Gets it a little bit wrong. He did exactly what he needed to do there. Rather than try to do something with the throttle, he just drove it out and kind of slowly came to a stop, got it corrected, and brought it back onto the track. Unfortunately, I'm seeing that not long after, and yes, here it is. He's gone off again and into the wall. So those tires not working for Rick Lovison. He's jumped back to the pits, and that's unfortunate for him. And now, while that was going on, we've had a couple more incidents. Let's take a look. This is Dominic Hart. Not sure if I can get to that replay. I'm not sure why it's not showing up for me. Oh, there we go. So this is Dominic Hart going off track, really wrestling with that car to bring it back on. So he managed to get back on track, and he is going again. And then this happened almost exactly at the same time at a different place in the track. David Worrell, Dave in the Cave as he's known. And making an off-road excursion, unfortunately. But once again, I think the major thing to say is very little harm done. And that's what I'm talking about, mitigating those mistakes. I mean, you know, it's great to watch some of the elite in IndyCar race. You watch somebody like, you know, Graham Bunyan, Adam Crane, Adam Blocker. There are lots and lots of names that have, well, I can't say lots of names, maybe only a dozen names that I would put really in that truly elite list at this moment. Okay, maybe 2 dozen. I don't know. I've never really done the calculation, but Graham being part of that group. And, you know, you watch him. Let's just watch him ride around the track here. We do have a note, though, unfortunately. Fahim Rahman had a moment and had to jump back to the pits. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. But as we watch Graham Bunyan circle here, it looks like a picture of perfection. Like he is truly out there for a Sunday drive. And the inputs on the steering wheel are deceptive. You've got to remember that if it was faster to be seesawing at the wheel and, you know, doing 1,000 movements a second, well, all the drivers would be doing exactly that. You'd be seesawing at the wheel. If you've ever watched one of the AI drivers, that's actually how they drive. And it's crazy. Like, I don't know that humans can do that. I've seen some humans that love to operate, some drivers love to operate like that, really loose steering and just able to put in a lot of input. But if you watch Graham through this corner, very smooth, very much like, I mean, not his countrymen, so I don't know if it's a fair comparison. Let's just say to Will Power, who has a lot of smoothness with his input, who is his Graham's countryman there in Australia. But Will known for not scrubbing much speed through the corners, and that's really the key that I'm trying to get at here. This smoothness makes it look like he's out for a Sunday drive, but the reality is just if you have to make a small correction, that it be very, very small, because every time you correct the car, you slide those tires just ever so much, and every slide of the tires costs you time, as well as scrubbing the tires, which adds temperature, adds wear. And so if you're gonna be fast, you've got to minimize your inputs, you've got to be smooth and consistent, and that sort of thing, that predictability, that reliability that you see from someone like Graham and these elite IndyCar drivers, that's really what we're all trying to achieve. And yet, when we've talked with Graham and said, boy, it looked like you were perfect, he's like, nah, man, I made this mistake, I made that mistake. And so the key here, as Graham is now heading into the pits, now watch this pit entry. You have to get down to speed so quickly. Really difficult there. As you can see, Graham Bunyan in the pits now, Jason Lowe, David Strid, everybody on pit road. So we watch these drivers head down. Bunyan will be first into his pit box, and Lowe back there in the chrome machine just behind. Bunyan receiving service. Strid will drive right through the car of Bunyan, receive service in his pit stall. Bunyan away, and he loses it on exit of the pits. He reverses onto the track, gets out of the way. We're staying with this live picture of Strid has now exited the pit safely, as well as Lowe. And my goodness, I hope it's not commentator's curse. I really do, because I do know that Graham sometimes keeps this feed open alongside, and part of the danger is when you hear somebody talking about you. I don't know, sometimes the weird voodoo of the universe strikes in weird ways. So Bunyan will recover from that in 5th place, and I tell you what, this is what I'm talking about, recovering from mistakes. And I don't know whether he'll do it or not, but my money would say that he will. So let's just watch what Bunyan can do there from 6th place, as he's now lost 4 spots, and that was an absolutely treacherous off track there, exiting the pits. And it's just the same old thing. It's we'll take a look here. We'll go back and watch him as he accelerates out of the pits, and there's no question, just cold tires. My goodness, he turns off that speed limiter if he had it on exiting the pits, not sure, and just dropped the hammer. And my goodness, that was right almost into the wall. I mean, and so let's talk about that. There's a perfect example. You know, Graham was able to come to a stop before he hit the wall, and that is it's imperative, because if he had hit the wall, he wouldn't have recovered to 6th. He would have recovered by going into the pits and getting repairs, and he would have recovered much further back. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, that you've really got to stay on top of your game, even if you make a mistake. And Graham Bunyan has now done that, but he's going to have to recover from a long ways back. That mistake, now that things have cycled around, and Bunyan now coming back into the pits. So I am not sure, did he do damage to the machine? He came and did a stop and go, and I'm not sure. Could have been a fast repair. I don't really know. But back underway there. And so Bunyan now is even further back, 42 seconds, as we now move back to the lead of the race. And that is how quickly it changes, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying this one out there, because you just saw a very rare mistake You see there, we've got a couple of drivers with us, a couple of fans here with us in the YouTube chat room, and yes, indeed, Ramon letting us know he was having a technical issue. It's too bad that he suffering that issue, and look forward to getting him back out there, checking in with us, letting us know. Don Day letting us know, enjoying the race. Could have raced, but slept in. Dang it, I hear you, man. Boy, I directed a gig last night for another channel, and it was fun doing short track racing on Saturday nights. That was so much fun, but tell you what, it was a quick turnaround for me. 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm back up doing US IndyCar League coverage here on VirtualRacing.Network. So, indeed, but we'll look forward to getting Don Day back in there for a couple of races. In the meantime, let's recap where we're at. So David Strid started from pole in front of teammate and countryman Graham Bunyan, and both of those two drivers suffering difficulty here in the opening going of the Road America Classic presented by StickQuik, as we had Strid off on the opening lap and losing multiple positions, then followed much later in the pit stop cycle with Graham Bunyan, who was exiting the pits, losing control, not hitting the wall, but then having to make a second stop. And now what that's done is put Jason Lowe, 3-time consecutive champion, once the pace setter here in the US IndyCar League. Hey, tell you what, this guy knows how to compete. He knows how to win races. He knows how to go fast. You can never count him out. Indeed, there are some other drivers that know sometimes how to clip another 100th or 2 off of the time charts, but when you got a competitor like this who's done 30 years of competitive racing, dare I say, you know, this guy's ready to put the lid down on that visor and go out there and do battle for 40 laps. And he's showing that he belongs in the lead right now, up 3 spots today, not making those same mistakes of his competitors. And so that's why literally what I was just talking about, minimizing mistakes, etc. Let's assume that Jason Lowe had gone off track. And as you can see here, David Strid, we'll jump back here and take a look as we miss this pass here on the front straightaway. This was Strid just a moment ago, getting by into turn 1. Mauro Ramirez leaving the door open a little bit, seeing Strid coming, and good decision by him. As these two will continue, and Mauro does not make contact yet again. So I'm trying to make points on top of points about minimizing mistakes. Letting Strid go by there is the smartest decision you can possibly do instead of possibly causing an accident. You know, it's one of those things where, hey, if you're faster than me consistently, I'm not going to hold you up too much. Go on up there and see what you can do and whether you can hold on to it this time, David. But Mauro, in the meantime, gets to focus on his race. He doesn't tear up his tires in a battle with Strid. He continues to get to manage those tires the ways that he wants to, and stay on his game. And so what I'm saying with Jason Lowe is, if you're looking at Lowe, who started in 3rd, he might have said before this race, well, my goodness, I don't have the pace of these top 2. What am I going to do? Well, they both made mistakes. Graham Bunyan now back 41 seconds from Lowe, and Strid now 3 seconds back. Once again, let's say Lowe made a mistake that cost him a full second on the track. If he minimizes it just down to that 1 second, he's still in the lead. So keep that in mind if you're racing out there. Don't let anything get you down. If you make a tiny mistake, just recover from it the best that you can and stay out there, because you never know when those speed demons at the front are going to throw it off the track. As you can tell, I'm just filming a lot of time here as we're seeing some battles starting to shape up. Jason Lowe now going to be under attack momentarily. 2.5 seconds and closing from David Strid. Let's see if we can get that graphic up there on the screen so that we can tell And there you can see how that gap has closed down over the laps. Now it's up to 3 seconds, so it looks like perhaps Strid having a little bit of an issue on that particular lap, because it was just under 3 seconds a moment ago. And so we watch these drivers continue to pound around here. Road America, lap 13. We are on and clicking this race off very quickly. Jason Lowe, your leader out in front, 3-time champion, looking to solidly take that second position in the series. So let's take a look at some of our notes here. Not that long ago, we had this off track here from Mike West, who was, looks like, getting around Joe Bricky. And indeed, then he goes off track, and this is one that just, you couldn't minimize. The damage ended up going out, hitting the wall, and then with that wobbly left front there, just hanging on by the the wheel tether, there's really not much you can do. That's not really drivable, and there you can see clips the grass. So he makes the decision to tow back into the pits, and unfortunately that will severely cost Mike West pace in today's race and many positions, but he'll only lose a couple of laps and recover and be able to head back out there and try and give it a shot again. And once again, you never know. Other drivers may be also having issues. Speaking of which, here's another driver with a quick off track. This was, well, we didn't quite get to the right car. Let's see if we can do it this time. There we go. Richard Kelbaugh. Easy to do in that corner. As I mentioned, these corners just so easy to lightly overshoot, and then as soon as you do, boy, you really wish that was tarmac out there instead of oh, right in front of the leaders too, right in front of David Strid and Mauro Ramirez getting by there. So Kelbaugh brings it back on track, and like I said, it's, that grass is just so slippery, really tricky to get it exactly right once you do go off. It's usually a minute where you have to take your foot completely out of the gas and try and recover that machine. But Jason Lowe continuing here. He's led a bunch of laps already. He's going to get bonus points for not only leading a lap, but possibly he is en route to getting bonus points for leading the most laps. And as I was talking about at the start of the broadcast, those bonus points are so absolutely crucial. Now, of course, vastly more crucial that he gets first place here instead of second or third. So we'll keep an eye on that. Far more points up for grab for doing that. But it ultimately, it doesn't matter. You know, if he'd taken the lead on the last lap instead of when he did, he wouldn't have that chance to get those extra bonus points for leading the most laps. And here I can see Will Stearns sliding off the track just behind. He'll bring it back on, and Will Stearns known much more for his oval racing. So great to have him back out there, though, in the league. Had to take a couple of weeks off, but it's great to have him back in there. And again, hey, come on out here. He's in the top 10, and he's definitely much more experienced on ovals than road courses. But this is how you get faster. Just getting experience, feeling more comfortable, not thinking that you have to be the fastest guy. Just aim for those top 10s. And once you can solidly knock down those top 10s by keeping the car on the track every single lap, start aiming for the top 5s. Next thing you know, some of the front runners are looking at you and saying, this guy, I didn't think he was capable of this kind of thing. So, or lady, or whatever. You know what I mean. 25 laps to go here at Road America for the StickQuik Classic at Road America. It's been an interesting one thus far. Jason Lowe, your leader, and started third, but that guy in the background there, David Strid, had it all made until, unfortunately, lap 1, turn 1, and then just a simple off-track cold tires took him off. Had to recover from 4th, 5th place. It's now back up to 2nd. But I think some of the best parts of those black tires were worn off in his attempt to come back through the field. And so now he's kind of having to settle back into a rhythm, basically trading lap times with Jason Lowe. As you can see there, about every other lap he's faster than Lowe. So they're just swapping faster laps at the front, and then you can see kind of what that tire fall off has done and what it does around a track like this. So we now see David Worrell in the pits. He has had a couple of off tracks. I imagine possibly has crashed. Fahim Rahman did return to the track, so we had him in the YouTube chat letting us know, but that he was not able to get along without some technical issues, but now he's managed to rejoin the race. And so where we're at now is actually Dan Ensch able to pass Mauro Ramirez, who just came in for his pit stop. This will be his 2nd pit stop on the day. And pulling in to receive service from that 3rd position. Watch him there up on the jacks. He's down and away. Safely lighting off that rear end as you see Joe Brickey passing him there on the track. His fellow teammate for Black Tiger Racing. Brickey is actually a lap down. He's actually scored a lap down at the moment. And Brickey blanking out just a little bit ahead. But Mauro recovers or rejoins in 6th place. And in the meantime, this guy out for his Sunday drive indeed. Jason Lowe racing for Rescue Ranch. That 004 car. Changed liveries this season. Not sure if it'll stay like that permanently, but it looks pretty darn cool. And Lowe now heading for his 2nd stop. He's managed to survive this long, and going that extra lap really is meaningful for Lowe because it'll just mean 1 less lap of fuel and 1 less lap on those tires. In the meantime, behind, you see David Strid headed in directly behind him as you heard the alarm going off when they entered the pits here. So there goes by Dan Ensch, though, on the track. You see him coming into your picture in that beautiful purple machine, racing for Last Lap Motorsports and ALZ.org organization, trying to get that awareness out there for the Alzheimer's Association. Taking over 2nd place, Dominic Hart, now 7.5 seconds adrift of Ensch. So Ensch, of course, as we mentioned with those bonus points, able to take a bonus point for leading laps. He's already done that. And now he'll just get a couple of more laps in the lead before he pulls it in for his 2nd stop. But once again, this is what I'm talking about as far as understanding how to play the game. And Dan Ensch, I was literally thinking of this not that long ago. But, you know, Dan has a ton of experience. He's not necessarily the fastest road course racer, but I tell you what, Dan has, I mean, I've literally raced with Dan in multiple races at Road America. So, you know, he knows how to play the game at Road America. He may not be able to set 45s and 44s in terms of lap times, but he knows how to manage those tires. He knows what not managing the tires would do. He knows all the problematic areas of the racetrack, and he knows how to stretch that fuel tank. And so here you see Dan doing it like he does it every week, just able to get those extra miles per gallon out of that Dallara IR-18. And he heads into the pits with Dominic Hart showing up on the scene just behind as well for their second stop of the day. So in the meantime, there was this moment from Mr. StickQuik, who once again, you know, a lot of these drivers, road courses is not their thing. So Richard, definitely road course, not his thing. Ovals are his specialty for sure. But it's so cool to see these drivers come out here and honestly just try to improve. That's what it's all about. And so keeping it on, bringing it back on track, not letting it go fully off track and hit a wall or anything. This is all stuff that you survive and you live and you learn from. The next thing you know, you're leading laps up there like Dan Ensch did. Now, unfortunately, Kelbaugh did put it off once more, but he recovered. So you see there? It was much faster that time he recovered. Richard Kelbaugh, I know, just having a great time over there in Idaho, just coming out and racing on Sundays here in the US IndyCar League. And by the way, if you would like to join the US IndyCar League, you think you got what it takes, well, you can do so. Just click down in the description. You'll see that link as we watch now Dominic Hart, his day going from mediocre to much, much worse. So he goes off the track here. Well, he didn't crash it. Get that car spun around there. Go over those huge bumps there in the runoff area. And bring it back on. So actually much better than I thought it was going to be from the way that the note looked. But he'll continue. Reduce speed, and he actually didn't lose a position. So yeah, continuing on, Jason Lowe will actually be the one that welcomes you into the league. He's the administrator here. Took over the league's administration duties quite some time ago, and he's done a really good job of it. Of course, you'll also be working with Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh. He's the steward of the US IndyCar League, and we also thank David Zaleski, who usually prepares the points for the league as well, and we appreciate all of his help. But yeah, click on over if you've done any IndyCar races, can show that in your history. They'll probably invite you out to the Saturday practice session. There are some minimum requirements in terms of license, etc., but if you've been racing for any period of time at all, especially doing any fixed or open races in IndyCar, come on over, have a great time Sunday mornings. And it's part-time, it's free entry, and really, honestly, if you're looking for if I could just call it that, a gentleman's racing league, obviously gentlewoman or anything, but for lack of a better term, respectful racing league that comes out here, races IndyCars on Sundays, you won't find a better group than this one. And a lot of these drivers have been racing together for quite a long time, so quite a good group of drivers as well. Jason Lowe, continuing here, he's climbed 3 spots since he started the day, and there's no more forward advances to go. He's hung on. He's driven very, very well. He's minimized any sort of mistakes that he's made, but now he's about to have a mirror full of a very hard charging Australian who does want to recover so desperately from that first lap incident that he had. And that, of course, is David Strid, who's just behind. This is on board with Strid, looking out that front of his visor there as he sets Low in his sights, and he's managed to bring that gap down. There you can see how it's shrunk, how it's grown and then shrunk, now down to 1.3 seconds, as Low that time did make a mistake and did do a 148 lap compared to 146 for Strid. So we're having in the meantime, while this is going on, having some more moments here. I don't even know which one to select. This was first David Worrell, Dave in the Cave, having an off there, coming back onto the track. And then we had this one, which possibly is a lot more severe. This is Dominic Hart there in the final corner, and Mike West, my goodness, just ahead of him. That was Mike West, unfortunately losing it under acceleration, going right, and it looked like it happened almost at exactly the same time as Dominic Hart. I want to watch that just one more time. We'll watch it just to see if we can tell from on board West what exactly happened there. So he comes through the final corner, and it looks like he's taking almost a defensive line, and he's so shallow that he pushes out, clips the grass, and then slides around and collects. My goodness, unfortunately, collects car there. And that will collect Dominic Hart and unfortunately take him out. So we'll jump back to the live picture here. And in the meantime, we did miss it on the track. Well, this is what happened a moment ago. If I can get a note. There we go. Let's take a look at this. This was just a second ago. Down the long start-finish straightaway. It's David Strid getting by Jason Lowe and taking that first position back, reclaiming where he was on the opening lap. It only took him about 2/3 of the race to do it, to recover, but that's exactly what the theme of this race has been, and honestly, it's just the theme of IndyCar racing. It's so difficult to do everything that you need to do to keep these cars on track and fast and pointed in the right direction. Make all the adjustments to the anti-roll bar that you need to on the ovals, the weight jacker, of course, but and manage these tires as well. Super crucial to manage the tires and make sure they don't burn off from underneath you or put yourself off on the opening lap. But if you do any of those things, how do you recover? And certainly a pro-level recovery effort here from David Strid, who slid back into the pack and had to recover. Now is only 18 seconds ahead of Graham Bunyan, who's also on a recovery effort. I'm not sure that my timing is actually correct. No, it's actually, I apologize. I was looking at the wrong interval. 34 seconds ahead of Graham Bunyan, who also has to recover from his incident. But Bunyan has recovered to 5th. And again, every position means more points. So that's really what you're doing. And Strid trying to reclaim 2nd place in the championship from Lowe. He's definitely interested in taking that position and getting the win here. So he will, of course, if they finish as they run now, he will in fact take that position back in the championship. And so that's how close it is here. In the meantime, as I said, Bunyan really trying back here in 5th just to mitigate that initial disaster. And he's got a ways to go to catch, he's got 15 seconds up to Dan Ensch. So in 18 laps, it's possible he can do that on pace. In fact, it's very likely he will do that on pace because Dan Ensch's last lap was a 47.87. Well, once again, looking at the wrong column. Well, let's take a look here in the tower. You can see their last lap times. I'll put that up there on the left-hand side. There you can see their last lap times, and Bunyan actually also in the 47-second bracket. So none of the leaders really faster than another. Almost everybody in the 47s, all the way in the top 5. Howard Livingston, the first driver outside of that, last lap of 52nd lap. But so will Bunyan, in fact, be able to take fourth? Once again, the interval is coming down as Dan Ensch, who will look up the track that last time, did a 50, and just someone behind him just went right off the track. I feel like that was Mike West, and indeed it was Mike West. A big off there. Let's see if we can go back to that. That was just an enormous off. Riding on board here, he can't even come close to making that corner. Just, that car was never going to be able to turn right through that corner. That was turn 2 there, and just straight off and into the wall. So, unfortunately, once again, things going from bad to worse for West. And in the meantime, 17 to go for Strid, who did take that position from Lowe, and Lowe back there. Can't even see him. He's starting to disappear out of the picture. 2.5 seconds back there, but you know, once again, that's where he was to start the race, and now Strid having to come in and make a stop. His final stop of the day, undoubtedly, with 16 to go here. So he'll pull it down from the lead, and Mauro Ramirez now heading by. Mauro hanging on to that third spot, now up into second. And once again, these laps also super important. Your out laps, your in laps. So you can see Strid on his last lap of 57.91. So watch these other drivers. You know, there's we'll see when some of these other drivers start coming in. You can see kind of what times they put in on their in laps. And again, it's just crucial, because if you lose an extra second because your tires are going off, you see here Mauro going out a little wide there. If the tires are going off and you're pushing on that very final lap and you can't get a consistent lap time in, but someone else can, hey, that's just the same thing as clawing back a full second on pace, you know, or 2 seconds on pace in the race. So all of these different things to get right. Your in laps, your out laps, every lap. Fake adjustments to your line, depending on what the car is doing. Make sure you don't throw it off in a corner. And I'll tell you what, we just had something happen on the track. What is going on here? Graham Bunyan, as David Strid exits from the pits, what are we seeing here? Graham Bunyan goes by, and then it's not long after this. Okay, we'll go forward to where it actually happens. And Bunyan headed up the hill here, and he just can't get it slowed down. So possibly those tires starting to expire on the Bunyan machine. Or actually, that might have been cold tires, because I showed that he's made 3 pit stops. Though he did come back for his 3rd pit stop. So I don't know. I'll sort it out in my own brain. Get it right. Either way, he's made 3 pit stops on the day. He was last in, Graham Bunyan was. And actually now he's in the pits. So having to recover from that. Here he is back into the pits. So I can't really tell you when he was last in the pits, because now he's in the pits again. So it'll show that number. Here's Mauro Ramirez leaving the pits, though. That we can get right. Back into 4th spot, as Dan Ensch is now up into 2nd. But of course, Ensch will come back as the pit stop cycle continues. Let's look at Ensch, who's there in 2nd place at the moment. And it did give over the lead to Jason Lowe momentarily, who, of course, got passed by David Strid in that last stint. And so we'll see whether or not Strid is on pace to be able to eclipse that when he comes back in. So there you can see Mauro Ramirez, a 8.80 on his entry. And of course, that's about a second slower than we saw his in-lap of Strid's in-lap was. So there's an example of a place where you can save a full second, or where Strid did save a full second just on his in-lap and keeping the car on the track. We saw Ramirez slide off for just a moment and bring it back on, and that cost him that time. So, and they're low with a 59.22, so another second slower than that. So that is definitely going to cost him. I mean, that's essentially 2 seconds difference on pit road. And we have another moment here. Is this... Not sure why we're seeing this note. That's not who we're trying to focus on here. We're trying to focus on Mauro Ramirez. And this was Mauro after he came out of the pits. Those black tires not hanging on in the rears and getting it loose there. That's one of those spots also on the track where if something goes wrong, I mean, it's so easy to end up in the wall. It is, like, literally I have no idea what will happen to me if I go off on that corner, because you're putting down power. It's right here, and the car is really precariously balanced, and you're putting down power while you're turning. And so if you go off, it could turn you to the left, it could turn you to the right, it could do anything. So we see Howard Livingston and Joe Brickey just behind, now into the pits for their final stops of the day. And in the meantime, David Strid, 14 laps to go, and back into that lead. Get the gap times back up there so you can see where your favorite drivers are at. So the US IndyCar continuing here. Season 14, round 4 at Road America, presented by StickQuik. It's been a good one so far. We've seen some lead changes. Some leaders throw it off, and some other drivers have some good recoveries. But none better than David Strid, who qualified on the pole and really had to work for it as he threw it off and then had to come back from 4th position. Took him about 2/3 of the race to get back into the lead, fighting with Jason Lowe in terms of lap times, but finally able to pass him and get back into that lead. And now you can see that gap really opening up to Lowe. 6.45 seconds, of course, as I mentioned. Lowe losing that time on his in-lap and possibly some more time on his out-lap. But here's Bunyan, who might be setting the fastest lap of the race. And indeed he does. That was a 1:45.67 fastest lap of the race. I saw the purple sector for Sector 2 pop up there. And thought, and then a personal best sector in Sector 3. And I thought maybe that might happen, and indeed it did. So after that round of hit stops, Graham just, a couple of mistakes today, very uncharacteristic. But again, let's call attention to a couple more things. Some of these drivers, it's 8 o'clock in the morning for me out here on the West Coast. But for David Strid and Graham Bunyan, it is literally the middle of the night / whatever, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. These guys, Graham has a day job, I don't know. I've tried to race at midnight. I've had some good races at midnight, to be honest with you. Some really fun oval races at midnight in the IndyCar, but it's hard to be on top of your game at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, honestly, if you can do that, there's probably a lot of endurance teams out there that would love to talk to you, because that's some real concentration. But nevertheless, you got to call that into effect. And of course, all of these drivers are really part-time drivers as well. They're not professionals who are paid to do this, and they don't have endless hours during the week to practice. Some of them just getting out for the practice session on Sundays before the race. And so, we often look at Graham Bunyan and David Strid and Jason Lowe, and Strid working around lap traffic here. We often see them make relatively mistake-free performances, but today Bunyan suffering a couple of off tracks, and like I said, this track just one of those tracks. It's so easy to do that. So in the meantime, we have David Strid in first, Jason Lowe here in second place. He did see the lead for a bit. He's climbed 2 spots today. He's chasing or fighting with David Strid in the championship for second place, so you're sure that he'd love to get up there and get that first place again. But nevertheless, just to see possibly a little bit of a gap between himself and Graham Bunyan, and to get another podium position, second place at that, would just be, I'm sure, a fantastic welcome addition for him. So here's Joe Brickey. He's currently running in 9th, and you see Jason Lowe just behind. And Richard Kelbaugh making his final stop, resuming the race here with 11 laps to go. So we'll look back at the front, and we've got David Strid out in front by 8.28 seconds. We've now got this battle happening, which is Dan Ensch closing up on the back of Mauro Ramirez. Did we have... I don't see any incident from Mauro. So, in fact, it was Mauro who got by Dan Ensch. I wasn't paying attention to what order they were in, but Mauro did get by Ensch for third. We missed that a moment ago, so we'll take a look at that. Was this exiting the pits? Aha, that's why we... I was saying, that's weird. I didn't see that happen on track, but that's because Ensch was pitting and Mauro got by there. So now we go back to the live picture, and we see just how tight this battle is. Hey, Dan Ensch is... he's got it in his sights. He's got a podium position in his sights, and he's got a 15-second gap over the car behind. This could be the week to see that ALZ.org machine on a podium position in third place. He's got to get around a very talented driver in Mauro Ramirez for Black Tiger Racing, as they both now work trying to get around Richard Kelbaugh there through the final corner. I'm sure Kelbaugh will be very happy to see his good friend Dan Ensch fighting for that podium position. Will he be able to pull it off, Dan? It's a good question, but in the meantime, I think that just really points out once again, Dan Ensch's competitive nature and his ability to really pull these races in. He doesn't always seem like the guy that's out there in first or second battling it out, but when you look at the end of the race, he's there in the top 5, and that's exactly what you want to see. We've got Fahim Rahman, I believe, having an issue. There he is. He's gone off. Let's back that up just real quick. We'll take a look at that. This was the first time. Oh, actually, it just shows he's gone off track and crashed. So that was probably, more than anything, was just a glitch, as he had a technical issue. And in fact, he had let us know that. So, oh, and now we've had another moment. This was David Strid. Sorry to cut away so quickly. I just saw this. He's going off there. I believe that's Canada corner. Only cost him maybe a second or two, as it's still about a 7-second gap there. And now this was just a moment ago. Dominic Hart recovering and able to get by Howard Livingston. So that was for 6th position. and definitely a crucial spot there for the championship. So you see Fahim continue, and Strid now back to a 7-second gap as we're under 10 laps remaining here for the Road America Classic presented by StickQuik. Jason Lowe continuing in second place. Mauro Ramirez and Dan Ensch still battling. And I'll tell you what, it's 9 laps to go. But if Bunyan can continue to put in the times that he is, last time it was a 46.79 for Graham Bunyan and 48 for these two. So we may see Bunyan creeping into this picture very soon, as it is down to just 12 seconds. 12 seconds and some change now. So keep an eye on that gap time and find out where this all ends up here. But Ramirez has got his mirrors full right now. I'll tell you what, I don't think either one of them is really thinking about a guy who's 10 seconds back. I'd be focusing on staying ahead of that purple machine right back there. He seems to have the bit between his teeth. And Strid having to make a pit stop here at the end. I don't know what caused that. Are they pitting? Maybe they're pitting to put on red tires because they haven't done red tires yet. It's just 8 laps remaining, so this is an interesting choice here. And you see Lowe just behind. Once again, they were on primary tires. Will they switch? No, they do not. So Strid staying on the black tires. And Lowe doing the same. Did we just hear an incident? I'm not sure. Kind of sounded like it. Might have been Richard Kelbaugh there. But Strid 7.4 seconds ahead, 7.5 seconds ahead of Jason Lowe exiting the pits. And that does turn over the lead to Mauro Ramirez and Dan Ensch. So these two in first and second, they last came in on lap 25. So it's only been 7 laps for these two. I think they can make it to the end. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and find out. We will wait to find out. And yes, I'm able to look into my notes now and see that Dan Ensch did let me know just before the race that 3 stops was possible. But as you saw, Ensch master in fuel saving, deciding he's going to pull it in and take the short stop at the end of this one. I guess just not quite able to make that work on 3, deciding to go with 4 there. Possibly that battle there with Mauro taking some of it out. But one of the things that you can do is fuel save by running behind somebody. So tough to say, if he was really trying to battle Mauro, he might have been using a little bit more fuel than he wanted to. But if he was able to hang with Mauro through the rest of the lap on these long straights, you can take your foot out of that throttle, save a bunch of fuel at the end of the straights. So no telling whether he attempted that. I'm sure he tried, but Lowe is in third and Ensch able to rejoin there in 4th place, about 16 seconds back from Lowe and 12 seconds in front of Graham Bunyan, who's still in 5th. Where will Mauro Ramirez end up? Is he going to try to stretch it? Can he stretch it? He did a 47.62 last time by. We ride with Morrow here. Morrow up 4 spots, and tell you what, he's a great new entry to the league. Joining us at the very end of last season. Will he pull it into the pits this time? He does. So this time in, this will make it a 4th stop as well, and then we'll have to see where he will cycle back out. Howard Livingston, Joe Brickey, and Mike West also in the pits at the moment. And so there it is. David Strid retakes the lead, and there you can see Howard Livingston entering the shot, exiting the pits there, coming out in 7th place. He's a lap down. Ramirez comes finally to a rest at his pit stall. You see Joe Brickey exiting the pits there. Beautiful black and white Tiger machine. And Ramirez rejoins in front of Dan Ensch, but it is not far back. There you can see Ensch back in the purple car. So that's just a little over a second, and it looked like Ramirez got it a little wrong through the corner. Cold tires. He went with the red tires this time. They should be a little faster than Ensch. Both of these drivers on their push to pass at the moment. And there goes Dan Ensch by through kettle bottoms, and Ramirez somehow getting that car through the corner. They may have made contact. Ensch just behind. Now this race for 3rd is on. Dan Ensch setting the fastest 2nd sector time of the race. That time a 1:46. Sorry, his best lap a 1:46.57. We'll wait to see what he does on this lap, but it's been a fast one for Dan as he pushed the candy button. Does he have anything for Morrow at the end of this one, as there's now quite a bit of a gap between them and Jason Lowe and David Strid, who are running in 1st and 2nd. This is really where the battle is on the track at the moment. And they don't want to probably battle too much, as Graham Bunyan is just 10 seconds back of these two. And Dan Ensch on his push to pass gets down the long front straightaway in front of Mauro Ramirez, cuts back to the outside and takes 3rd position. Dan Ensch into 3rd. Will Mauro Ramirez be able to come back and retake that position? Of course, Mauro on those red tires, they should be faster. Mauro not using that push to pass. That time by Mauro with a, as we see Dominic Hart into the pits there. Mauro that last time losing that position, obviously, and not able to keep up with Dan Ensch in terms of overall pace here. Looks like Ensch starting to creep forward, but here comes Mauro now pushing to come back as they now work under Joe Brickey. Dan Ensch kind of taking the straight line approach through that corner there, just a little defensive. Hey, every line is valid as long as you don't make contact. Riding on board with Ensch in that 52 ALZ.org machine. We've got a note here that Richard Kelbaugh has gone off and unfortunately crashed. We're going to stay with this picture for a moment. As you can see, Mauro Ramirez all over the back of Dan Ensch now. It's all about pressure and handling pressure for Ensch. And I'll tell you what, this guy, he's got so many races under his belt. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I've just seen him do so many Road America races. He's got one coming to him. If I could just say, it's pretty much his time And we'll love to see if he can get that car up onto the podium. Either way, I'd love a chance to chat with Mauro Ramirez also, who has been putting in the laps here and getting ever so closer to that podium position. So just 4 laps remaining here. It looks like Ensch has pulled out just a little bit on Mauro. David Strid still in the lead, as you see Will Stearns pulling off the track, letting the drivers go by. So Strid still out in first, and 15 seconds back now for Jason Lowe. Some things not quite working right, but Dan Ensch, I tell you what, he's pulled a masterful race here. I cannot wait to hear what he has to say at the end of this race and what his strategy was, because I think it was to go 3 stops, but he and Mauro both going 4 stops at the end of this, and Dan able to put in a great performance here. So Mauro in 4th, and Graham Bunyan recovering from his incident back to 5th. Tell you what, while we have a moment, we're going to fit in a little business if we can. Of course, this is that StickQuik. Yes, in fact, this is what the series is presented by, these little silicone rings. Indeed, they are the thing that you don't have in your life yet, but you need. You didn't know it until today, or maybe you did, but it's your time to actually go there, make your purchase. Go to StickQuik.com, and you'll see hundreds of these photos, use cases of different things that you can do with the car, with the StickQuik. And, you know, as far as what you can use it for, it's almost anything that's roundish, maybe squarish even, you know, but you can fit these around. There's 3 different sizes in a pack. 6 of them come to a pack. There's multiple different colors to choose from. And it's really, you just see on your screen what it is there on the right-hand side. Keep your vape close to you in the car. Keep your markers and your pens close to you if you're a designer or you work in an office. I mean, you can just let your mind run wild. I mean, more than anything, it can keep things just handy for you. For example, this here flashlight, you'll always know where it is when you need it. It's stuck right to that metal frame. And of course, you can stick them to anything that's steel, like your toolbox. But not only that, it includes a sticky pad as well that you can stick to anything that's not magnetic or steel. And that is really the benefit of this. 6 of them come to a package, very affordably priced. Head on over to StickQuik.com. Let them know in the notes that the US IndyCar League is where you saw the StickQuik, and they'll know that their sponsorship is working. We thank StickQuik and Richard Kelbaugh for continuing to help support the US IndyCar League. So as we come back to the live picture here, you've missed nothing. David Strid is still in first, coming down to about 1.5 laps away from the end of this one. And it's Jason Lowe who continues to hold on to second. 17 seconds back now from Strid and 12 seconds ahead of Mauro Ramirez, who has actually gotten back by Dan Ensch. And we missed that while we were away, so we'll take a look at that again. This is Mauro Ramirez getting by, and I have a feeling that it's because Dan Ensch had an off, and in fact it is. Ensch having an off there in, I believe that's the final corner? No, not the final corner. It was actually the second corner of the track, and that will send Ensch back to 4th. But Ensch right there again within a second, and he could potentially take that position back as we go back with David Strid. He'll go under, as he's known amongst the community, Barney the Flagman there up in the booth, or up in the flag stand. waving the white flag for David Strid. Just one more to go for Strid. It's been 39.9 beautiful laps that Strid will have put in by the end of today, and he uses his very last push to pass on this final lap, just putting a little extra stamp on what he's managed to recover and do today. There's no doubt about it. He has had the pace all day long today. Lowe, also a fantastic drive, very consistent, just putting in a solid finish and kind of what you would expect from that three-time champion. Really a Jason Lowe, a classic Jason Lowe kind of day, very much a championship kind of Jason Lowe day. Mauro Ramirez showing some flashes of brilliance here, looking up for a podium position. This would be his first podium for the US IndyCar League, and he managed to get it by being consistent and once again being in the right place, not putting it off in this final stint here when Dan Ensch just got it a little crossed up and gave up that 1 second of time on the track. So as they're completing this final lap here, we'll keep an eye on that battle, as well as Graham Bunyan, who holds on to fifth. But hey, he comes off the final corner one final time. Salutes the fans, salutes his team, salutes the administration, salutes Barney the flagman, and salutes everybody over in the chat room. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. Dragon Racer, appreciate it. Great to have you with us in YouTube chat. Dawn Day, everybody who joined us. David Strid taking pole, coming back to take victory, and Jason Lowe taking second position, gaining a couple of spots on the day. How close was this battle at the end for third? It was very close. Ramirez taking third. Ensch, a very hard-fought fourth, almost there at the end. And Graham Bunyan managing to close a ton of time there at the very, very end. And I'm not really 100% sure exactly how he managed to close down that rate so fast. Dominic Hart still out there finishing up. So we'll wait for him to finish up in this race to go official before we call it. But it's been a fantastic race. Hart, unfortunately, not able to get these races to fall his way ever since that victory and debut at Indy at the end of season 13. Just not able to get the race results that he's wanted. Right now running in sixth, and while that's, you know, a good place to finish for the championship, he did start third, and so obviously he would be looking to get a top 5 out of today, but he still got sixth. And like I said, you know, you move on to the next race, and a very talented guy like Dominic Hart is going to be able to put down some fast laps for our next race that we head to, and probably be in podium position contention there. Howard Livingston on a cool down lap here, and everyone just bringing it into the pits here momentarily. Take a look at David Strid, who continues his victory lap around the circuit, and we can bring you the final results here on your screen from today's event. It was a fun one, and we saw all kinds of action up and down, but it was David Strid who took pole position and recovered here, and he is your winner at Road America for the Road America Classic presented by StickQuik. Jason Lowe ending up second, Mauro Ramirez third, Dan Ensch in fourth, and Graham Bunyan rounds it out with a top 5, and that is obviously not what we're used to saying in this US IndyCar League. Usually it's Bunyan 1, 2, or 3, but there goes Strid. He's not wasting any more time. I thought he was going to do donuts, but he just spun it around and hit his rear wing. He doesn't care. You can see Mauro Ramirez forming up there in third place to line up and head on up to the podium. I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk with David Strid, but I'm sure we're going to look forward to chatting with Mauro Ramirez. In the meantime, we do have a chance to talk with one of the stars of the race. And in fact, we're so gracious that he's joined us. We really thought today, Dan, that it was going to be your day. You're looking strong for that third place finish. But I'll tell you what, that was a heck of a run you gave the Dallara IR-18 IndyCar for ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports. Congratulations on your fourth, man. Great run today.
Oh, thanks, man. I had a blast out there. Me and Morrow had some great fun all out, the last 2 or 3 stints. We were right there with each other, and man, that was a lot of fun. I overcooked one corner the whole race, and it was the one that Morrow got me on at the end. Other than that was about the best road race I can manage. I don't remember coming that close to a podium on a road race in this league, so I can't be anything but happy. I had a ball.
Well, and I was talking about that earlier. Of course, I've had the fortunate chance to race with you at Road America a couple of times, and you know, you've always had a good outset to getting into the race and very consistent, relatively fuel conservative strategy. Thought that's what you were headed for today. And now talk us through what was going on with the fuel strategy, because I was looking at the laps everybody was coming in on, and I was thinking that if you did some crazy fuel saving, you might have been able to make it on 3 stops. Did you really think that was the case? And what made you change your decision to go to 4 stops?
Well, I always had the decision to go to 4 stops, but I wanted to run a long first and second stint and try to get that 1 bonus point for staying out a little bit longer and getting a lead point, which I got.
Sure.
So I was happy about that. But no, it was always a 4 stint reckoning, and I knew that the further into it I went, the less fuel I would have to take, and then I switched to reds on the 3rd stint, and man, I was having fun.
It did look fun, and it looked like you and Morrow were in a great battle there. And, who knows, Dan, maybe this is the start of a new era of road course racing for Dan Ensch, racing for Alzheimer's Association and Last Lap Motorsports. Always great to have you out there, Dan. Anybody you want to thank going forward?
Well, obviously, we want to thank you for coming and doing this for us. You do a great job, and I can't wait to go back and listen to the broadcast, because I'm sure you chatted me up, right?
Oh, I believe me, man. Dan, I miss being part of the team and getting to race with you out there. You're one of my favorite parts of Last Lap Motorsports. Of course, we all want to see you in the Alzheimer's Association IndyCar up there and in the podium and get some more awareness up there. You betcha, man.
Man, you said that like I owe you money or something. But anyway, thanks to StickQuik as well. We want to thank them for putting these races on for us, too. Thanks to Richard and all the gang there.
You betcha. StickQuik, big part of the league. So is Dan Ensch. Catch him next week, same time, same channel. Dan, always great to have you here with us. We'll look forward to seeing that machine on the podium. You were inches away from it today. I think it's in the cards for next race.
Yeah, and I don't care what Morrow said. He cheated.
Everybody always cheats who goes faster than you. See you later, Dan. We'll catch you next week, bud.
Bye-bye.
So that was Dan Ensch, who did finish in 4th place. And yes, indeed, we do finally get a chance to talk legit with Mr. Mauro Ramirez, who now joins us here in the broadcast booth. Hey, Mauro, great to have you here. It's been a couple of races coming on, but we could see your speed as the season has gone on. And, you stepped out of Texas where you got a chance to see the real-life IndyCars. And something lit a fire under you. You got the podium position you were after. Congratulations. 3rd place today.
Thank you, Trevor. I think what I had was the Trevor effect after the first time you and I were in the same road series this past week. You must have rubbed off on me. Actually, it was almost the same finish we had last season at Daytona with Dan and I. And fortunately this time, I got the better end of it. So when I saw that we had Road America on the schedule, this is one that I penciled in, that I knew that if I had a chance at all to get on a podium in this league, it would be here. So I'm very grateful, and man, I'm wore out.
Worn out. Yeah, it does take it out of you. A lot of rights and lefts, not just lefts and grab your beer coaster on with your right hand. You really got to work at these ones. But talk us through that race. Dan was looking at potentially three stops were possible on the outset. Were you ever thinking going the long way, trying to do fuel conserving, be 3 stops? Were you always looking at doing 4 stops and then putting the reds on at the end? How did you feel your strategy went from the beginning to the end?
Well, at first, when I realized I was the only one on reds, I was a little concerned, but I was able to use that to get from 5th to 3rd quickly, and then just wanted to take care of my tires that first stint until I can get on the primaries. My whole goal originally was to start on reds, and then I did actually conserve after my 3rd stop. I was running in fuel map 4, and then I made a mistake and went off track, and luckily no one was around me, and I was able to back up and take off again.
We still caught it on camera though.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I know y'all did, but I meant as far as other drivers. When I had to put it reversed and my relative, there was no one around, so I was so grateful, and I felt for Dan because he had the same kind of mistake.
Yeah.
But no, so I was going to finish. I was going to run primaries the whole time, but when I saw how close it was going to be at the end, and I was stopping, I went ahead and decided to go with the alternates, and it paid off.
It sure did. You were able to get those lap times. Looked like it took a lap or two for those for the times to really start to settle in and the tires to start to get up to temp and be able to drop the faster times down. But you did hold off hard charging Dan. He was salivating over that podium position. But nevertheless, a new chapter here in the US IndyCar League as we get you up there onto the podium position and taking 3rd place, and maybe the start of many more for you here, Mauro. You've got the speed to do it, and slowly making a name for yourself here in the league. So congratulations. Anybody else you want to thank before we move on?
I want to thank, I want to thank you personally, for what you do. I want to thank StickQuik for putting on this league for us and sponsoring it, Black Tiger Racing and DRS. And, the U.S. Indy League is a very humbling league. So if you think you're fast, come ride with these guys and you'll be sadly awakened on what you're lacking. So I encourage people to come out and join us because it's a great group of individuals to learn from. And I'm very happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely. So well said. Thank you so much, Mauro. Good luck with the rest of the season.
Hey, buddy. Appreciate it. You have a blessed day.
You too. That's Mauro Ramirez joining us for the first time here with an interview. I had mentioned it not long ago, but yes, indeed, Mauro wanted to wait until he was actually up onto the podium and to get an interview, and he did manage to wait, and he got it, and it only took a few races. So maybe, as I said, a new era happening here as we're seeing some fresh faces getting up there on the podium. So we do have also the infamous Jason Lowe in that chrome machine, who was blazingly fast. He was up there. He took over the lead. It was just an amazing race to watch. He ended up in 2nd place, but a fantastic finish. And really, absolutely, Jason, you look like the man of old, the guy that won 3 championships. It wasn't your day to take the victory, but 2nd place has got to feel pretty awesome.
I finishing 2nd to David Strid. There's no shame in that. Graham had some trouble getting out of the pits, or he would have been up there most likely ahead of me. Both those guys had pace that I didn't. I could match David a little bit if I just did everything I could where I was going to crash. And after I almost crashed 7 or 8 times, I was like, okay, I need to drive my own race, which meant slowing down a little bit. I really pushed the car when I was out front, and I was able to match David's times briefly, but over the long stint, I was going to crash. So I had to dial the wick down just enough to keep it in control and not get out of control. And I 0x'd the road course. I didn't even drop a wheel, so I got to be happy with myself for that. It was a good day of self-discipline, and real happy for Mauro to get on the podium. David drove a flawless race, and good day for everybody in the league. I really enjoy Road America. I know you like the place. I know you're fast here too. It's a historic place. I actually worked there for the Skip Barber School one time when I worked for Skip Barber for a couple years, and so I have good memories of that place.
Man, you talk about history. I feel like every time we talk to you, we turn another page and find out more about Jason Lowe and your incredible history of racing, both in real life and obviously sim racing as well. But Jason, it was a fantastic race today, and I just want to key in on what you said. There was a moment where you felt like maybe you were pushing really, really hard and the car just would not hang on at that kind of a pace, and you dialed it back. Now, this is something you learn over time doing these races, and both in real life too. You got to manage those tires, you got to manage your car and not throw it off. And sometimes it's like when you play golf, they tell you swing 90% and don't swing 100%. Take a little bit off and it goes so much better. That's just some of that experience that you have to mitigate potential mistakes and look forward and say, if I keep going at this pace, I'm going to throw it off. That's why you had 3 consecutive championships, and that's why you were able to stick around in second place and not throw it off today. So that real life racing experience really coming to help you here.
I was driving above my own ability. It wasn't that the car couldn't take it. It was that I was driving above my talent level. I mean, you can get away with that sometimes. You can drive 103%, you can drive 105% and catch it. But how many times are you going to catch it? It's just, and I feel like I'm still learning a lot. I feel like today I learned a little bit about how to brake to the apex, where maybe in the past on the road courses, I was rolling up to the apex rather than braking all the way to the apex in some corners. It's not a technique to use in every corner, but I just think I'm still learning about iRacing. I'm learning about how it works as far as what I feel and what I see and what it does. And I don't know, I still feel like a kid, and I still feel like I'm improving. And having guys like David Strid and Graham Bunyan and Howard and Rick and the other Rick and my friend David, just having a bunch of friends on the track. And it's a great thing. I'm really happy. I appreciate StickQuik, and I appreciate all the members of the league, and I appreciate your broadcasting very much.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much, Jason. Not only a super fast racer and, absolutely putting on a great show, but you're also the series admin. So if anybody does want to join the league, has a little bit of experience, you're the one that they'll end up talking to, and you do a great job at that as well. So thanks for doing a great job with the league. And you're back there in the points. You didn't take over. You didn't keep a hold on second place. David Strid got it back with that win today, but you're so darn close. It's just 9 points now, thanks to David Zaleski posting the points there. 9 points separating you from second place in the championship. Good luck with the rest of the season.
Yeah, we take it one race at a time. You go out there and get the results, and the points take care of themselves. Thank you, Trevor.
So that was Jason Lowe, and indeed, they do take care of themselves. It's kind of like let it all work itself out afterwards. Who cares about the points? Just keep the car on the track. And by focusing like that, dialing it back, knowing his own capabilities, it's just part of that experience of, he says he's just learning about iRacing. I don't even know how many years Jason Lowe has been on iRacing, and yet he's still learning about iRacing and the Indy cars. Well, we won't get a chance to talk with our final podium finisher, David Strid, because he's a man of few words on Discord at least. But I don't know, is Graham Bunyan around? Graham, are you still there?
No, I'm in the change room punching myself in the face.
Guys, 3-time consecutive champion Graham Bunyan hanging out, feeling low. He's got his tail between his legs a little bit. But Graham, I tell you what, you're still in the lead of the championship by a whole bunch of points. And just checking in with us with that 5th place finish. You did manage to, once you had that off there exiting the pits, talk us through what happened there. It just looked like you took the pit limiter off and stepped on the gas and it spun you around. What happened?
Well, I've gone back to the pits and punched the crap out of the pit crew for not warming up my tyres. They were cold. And I just too much gas, and me being a douchebag, lost it. And then I get a penalty as well. So that was the reason why I had to go back in.
Yeah, what was that penalty? What?
Unsafe pit X.
Oh, because you crossed crossed over the merge line,
the
blend line.
If I hadn't have got that, I still would have been right up the front there. Because I think I fought all the way back. I think it was about, 28 seconds or something back. So that's exactly what I lost in the pits. I lost 30 seconds in the pits.
Absolutely. You would have been right there. Absolutely right there. And that's not even to say that if you hadn't lost it on pit exit, all the time that was spent in the actual going off track and having to reverse and wait for a car on the track. Nevertheless, Graham, I mean, this is what I was talking about. Look, you had a couple of mistakes today, and, some days when you're out there, it is just perfect all race, or it looks that way on camera. But here you had a couple of mistakes, and yet you still claw it back. And even though you weren't able to get that win because of the forced extra pit stop, you still get a top 5. So, I mean, you continue here in the championship in the lead. You lost a little bit of your lead. It's now down to 32 points to David Strid. So what do you do now? You're 4 races done with the season. You got 2/3 of the season to go. I mean, you just go back and, jump back on the horse again next week and forget about it? Or is there anything different that you could do looking at what happened today going forward into the remaining races?
Yeah, I'm going to find where they park their cars, the guys in top 3. I'm going to go and do some damage to it before next week.
Park for May under very loose lock and key here in the US IndyCar League. Basically buy the security guard a hot dog and you're in. So, well, we'll look forward to that next week, Graham. In the meantime, you are the championship leader here. And your thoughts on Road America before we close this one out?
Look, it was a great track, great setup. It was a race to be won, and I lost it just due to being a douchebag in the pit. But the better man won at the end of the day, and congrats to David and Jason and MJ or Maru or however you pronounce that. Us Aussies aren't very good at pronouncing stuff.
Mauro Ramirez, they're in third place. He put in a heck of a run today, and he just barely beat Dan Ensch. There's a heck of a battle. I know you were clawing him in there at the end, and you were really close. It was like a 10-second gap, and then you were there on the final lap. So anyway, Graham, great to have you with us here, the 3-time consecutive champ leading the championship. So we're going to head next week to Las Vegas. Now, Howard Livingston practically owns that track. He is the oval racing master at Las Vegas, so you can never count him out. It's going to be sponsored for Tunnel to Towers Foundation, and David Zaleski bringing that awareness to us. How do you get ready for next week? Are you just going to hang the IRL white line down low, or are you going to look at doing some other trickery?
Well, forget about this week, and just look forward and see what the setup produces to where we sort of run.
Well, we'll find out. It depends on who builds the setup. It's usually David Strid working with the rest of the guys. So anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Graham, thanks for all of what you do in real life as well. You put in the hours there, and you put in the hours in the cockpit, and great to have you here every Sunday. Congratulations where you're at in the championship. We'll see you next week, Graham.
No worries, thank you, and thanks to StickQuik and everybody else, and thanks for Richard for actually turning up. He wasn't going to turn up today, but he did. So good on him. He did it. He finished, and well done.
Absolutely well done. Congratulations to Richard. Congratulations to everybody who finished. And, like I said, a lot of these drivers who just don't even, they don't even really put in much time. Like, I think Richard's got 500 iRating on road courses. And yet coming out here and putting in the laps, we really appreciate it, making a much more full field, and they get more experience. So we do move on next week to a roundy round. Come see it next week, 10 o'clock Eastern time, right here, VirtualRacing.Network. As always, I'm Trevor Greenfield signing off. This was a production of VirtualRacing.Network in the US IndyCar League. For more, please subscribe and like this video, as you know by now. Congratulations to our winner, David Strid. Second place to Jason Lowe, and a hard-fought third to Mauro Ramirez. See you next week. Until then, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye, everybody.